It's another day. And,
another tariff day.
Another tariff day.
25% this time.
Yeah, about 25.
Oh, you can handle it now.
45% and all of that. But let's look at gold first. Remember that monster rally gold started, and now we're hearing from Goldman Sachs. They're saying they've upped their end of 2025 gold price outlook. They've upped it to about $3,100 to about $3,300 per ounce, and its forecast range between 3,250 to 3,520. Remember, gold is still sitting around $3,000 right now. So the expected rises in exchange-traded fund inflows and sustained robust demand, from the central banks. We see that that's propping up what they're expecting for gold. And now we're seeing President Trump has announced 25% tariffs on foreign-made vehicles. U.S. President Donald Trump said he will impose a 25% tariff on all foreign-made cars and light trucks. And definitely that's going to impact, how these, the prices of those cars when they come into the country as he gears up to widening his tariff agenda on key industries and trading partners. Shares of major U.S.-listed automakers, they slumped after Trump's comments, while Wall Street saw that it also retreated. Also, we see President Trump is saying he's open to reducing some tariffs against China, and that's in exchange for a deal to sell short video app TikTok to an American buyer. His comments come just a week before an April 5th deadline for TikTok. That's a parent ByteDance, as a parent company, to find a non-Chinese buyer for its app or face a U.S. ban on national security grounds. The ban was set to take effect in January, but was postponed by Trump through executive order. The U.S. president has signaled that he's willing to further extend ByteDance's deadline. So definitely a countdown for that one. Then we see the brokerage firm renowned for commission-free trading. They're set to introduce a suite banking service aimed at retail investors with modest portfolios. A new offering that's for Robinhood is branded Robinhood Banking. It will provide checking and savings accounts features with a 4% annual percentage yield. Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation coverage there is up to about $2.5 million through a coastal community bank, and that's according to the company. We know most traders like to use that Robinhood app for crypto trading and for leverage trading in the U.S. All right, let's take it on to London now. Let's get a check of what's playing now. We did have inflation data that was out yesterday, and other matters, especially with Rachel Reeves there. Juliana joins us now. Great to have you, Juliana. Good morning.
Good morning, Laddie.
Yeah, so we have that data yesterday. Inflation rose about 2.8% year on year, but that's below the estimate of about 2.9%. I guess that's good news.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. We did have CPI data released yesterday morning by the Office for National Statistics, showing that the headline rate had eased from 3% in January to 2.8% last month, which is slightly better than expected. And I think the fall has been attributed to the price of clothing and shoes, which fell for the first time in about 3 years, which is quite a surprise at this time of the year, because we know after the Christmas rush, we then have kind of Boxing Day, early January sales, typically expected much earlier in the year, not February. So I think this data gives an indication that retailers are still struggling and are slashing prices to ensure that they have more sales. I think a lot of economists are now digging much deeper into this inflation data. And once again, the Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey is under pressure. The Bank of England, the central bank, their main task is to ensure that inflation is kept down and is as close to that 2% benchmark as possible, but we're not there yet. And even though we did have this fall yesterday, in the next couple of weeks, British consumers are going to be hit with a wave of significant price increases. And we've got water bills rising by about 26% on or after the first week in April. Energy bills, still a major issue with the war in Ukraine. They're set to be about 6.4% higher. And then, of course, the big one, which is the rise in national insurance for employers. Much further down the line, there are still threats of Trump tariffs. So even though, yes, I suppose a fall in inflation does mean cost of living pressures are easing for everyday consumers, there is still so much economic uncertainty on the horizon that we're not, cheering from the doorsteps just yet.
Right, I guess consumers are just waiting for a time where they can actually feel the data, when they go to the supermarkets and where they're trying to buy stuff at this time. But there's still more data out for February. This time, Britain's vehicle output, that's including electric and hybrid cars, that dropped. How's the market, digesting this data?
Well, I think this is pretty much following on from what we've seen over the past 12 months, really, which is a decline in Britain's vehicle output. And this is according to the Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders. They were having a look at February data, and it does show that persistent challenges faced by the car sector means that we're not putting out or producing and manufacturing as many cars as we did this time last year, not helped as well by that late night announcement we heard from the Oval Office from President Trump saying that he is going to be putting this 25% export tariff on cars coming into America. So yeah, not great, but no surprises here because Britain's car output has actually been declining every month for the past 12 months.
Right, and we also hear Chancellor Rachel Reeves is saying the UK government does not want to escalate trade wars with the US at the moment. What were you hearing there?
Well, yeah, of course, we've got to talk about the biggest fiscal statement of the year, which happened yesterday, very much overshadowing that inflation data. And that was Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor's spring statement. I was down in Westminster filming for Channel's Business Global yesterday, and it was packed jam with the press, wall to wall, because the UK economy and growth is vital. And this is what the Labour government had promised, and we're not yet seeing any growth under Rachel Reeves's tenure. There were a series of announcements, many of which we've already discussed, Laddie, but there are going to be adjustments to welfare benefits. Basically, welfare benefits are going to be cut, and if you are applying for welfare, that application is going to be monitored much more stringently. Civil service in the UK is going to be reduced. There are going to be budget cuts to day-to-day departmental running. Of course, we know there is going to be the uplift to defence spending and various other fiscal adjustments, which wasn't supposed to happen. This wasn't the plan. When we got the autumn statement last year, Rachel Reeves said she was only going to be making one fiscal statement a year, which is not true. We had a second one yesterday. So she is under pressure, under ropes. And there are a lot of politicians within the Labour Party who are besides themselves. They're seeing Sir Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves moving further to the right than what we saw from Tony Blair. They're targeting the poor and the vulnerable. And yes, so Rachel Reeves on the airwaves this morning trying to justify these cuts to welfare. But yes, it definitely doesn't feel like it's a Labour government ruling Britain at the moment.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, when some of the promises, the campaign trail, when it starts to change, when it actually comes. But thank you so much, Juliana, for giving us the details of what's playing out right there in the UK. Thank you.
Thanks, Laddie.